Good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing today? My name is Chelsea. Welcome to Little Mountain Ranch. I am very happy to have you here with me. We are heading down to the barn right now to go and milk Honey. Honey's one of the new cows that we bought, I guess 3 weeks ago now, and she is an absolute dream. But yesterday we decided to move her and the other 2 cows out into the main field because the grass is starting to come up. They aren't used to being on pasture this time of year, and if we were to wait until the grass was really thick and lush, they would go out on it and they could end up getting really sick and bloating. So getting them out when it is early spring like this is better. But there is a slight problem with that, and that is that Honey is not halter trained. So this is going to be the first morning that we are bringing her in off the field and trying to get her up into the barn and into the stanchion for milking. So we'll see how this goes. Did you guys get her? Nice. Good morning, Honey. No, just wait. We'll move her from the back. Okay, so she is on the halter. She's not a happy camper about it. You're doing such a good job, Honey. We need to get a smaller halter for you, hey? That one is a little bit too big. Good girl. That's a good girl. Good job. Well done. Nice work.
Lure her over. Here, Matt.
There we go. Very good. Okay, so we're gonna do a slight change of plan. So we're gonna see if we can leave Honey up by the barn, at least until we can get her adjusted to having the halter on. I don't really like having animals with halters out in a big pen, just because they can get it hooked and hurt themselves. But having her right up by the barn like that, I think she'll be okay. Milkweed is doing absolutely amazing. Hello, sweet girl. How are you? Such a cool mama. And so is this young man. Hi, bud. How you doing? He is just growing so well, perfectly healthy. That makes me so happy. So I decided not to worry about milking milkweed just yet, not until I get the milk machine all set up and I have Honey well trained to everything. Hello. Okay, before we go in the house to strain the milk, I'm just going to go turn off the heaters in my greenhouse because as you can see, it is a beautiful day. Maple came to say hello. Hi, Maple. Can we not dig in my new flower beds, please? Thank you. So I've been working on my garden for the last couple of days. What I'm doing, I'll show you from back here, is re-edging all my flower beds. Dug out the ones in front of the greenhouse and then started to clean out all my herb gardens that I have here in front of the greenhouse. I'm planning on filling all these beds full of flowers here in front of the greenhouse. All of the, excuse me, all of the snapdragons I want to put in here and sunflowers, and it'll look beautiful. Zinnia, of course. Okay, so this is what I do to keep everything safe from freezing at night, is I cover them with plastic. It goes all the way across the top, as you can see, and then I have a heater under each side. Everything is looking pretty good, except for my tomato seedlings, although they are starting to perk up a little bit, which is very encouraging. Lemon balm looking gorgeous. And I am very excited about my onions. I used the method that Crystal from Woodland Homestead uses for doing my onions this year, and it has definitely worked. So these are all the snapdragons that are gonna go outside. We have a bunch of herbs back here, some oregano, some thyme, and all these daisies and straw flowers and calendula are going to go out there too into the front. And lots more action on our broccoli and cauliflower. Have any of you ever noticed that when cauliflower comes up, let's see if I can find an example, it kind of looks a little bit white like this before it greens up, but broccoli and cabbages do not do that. I am not sure why that is, but they always end up greening up like this within a few days of coming up, poking out of the ground. Baby basils are starting to come up over there. So I think we'll come out and do a little bit of work out in the greenhouse in a little bit, but right now we need to get inside and get that milk strained. So an update on the Quark and the sour cream that I made the other day. So I made a mistake when I did that. I baked at the same time as I was cheese making, which is something that cheesemakers do not recommend because those yeasts actually get into the air and they can contaminate your milk, which is what happened. And I ended up with yeast contamination in my Quark and my sour cream, which I have never had happen before. But the other thing that I did that some of you may have noticed is I used my mixing spoons that I use for bread making. And I'm pretty sure that's what did it. So we have to start fresh. Today I'm going to make Quark out of the milk that I just milked this morning, or at least a gallon of it, and give it another go. What I normally do after I'm done milking and go and open up the greenhouse is on my way up to the house, I mull over what I'm going to make for dinner. Because as you all know, I like making dinner in the morning. And I think I'm going to make hamburger soup today because I haven't made hamburger soup in a long time and it's so delicious. One of the other things that I'm going to make is some broccoli salad. I am trying to incorporate more vegetables and greens into my diet and less sugar. So I'm going to make some mason jar salads for the week for myself, probably for 3 or 4 days. And then I'll do a different salad just so I don't get tired of it. So I'll show you how I make broccoli salad too. Okay, I have sterilized everything here, including my hands. And this milk is at the perfect temperature. So I am actually going to dump in our fresh mesophilic culture. So remember, I'm going to make Quark here. So we start with, you can also start with buttermilk culture too, which I have done before. So we're going to strain our milk right into our jar. So there's as little opportunity for contamination. I also wash down my counters with vinegar in hopes to avoid any yeast contaminations at all. So what I've actually decided to do is I'm going to not do any bread making or any baking or anything like that, or making kombucha, anything that's going to put yeast into the air while I'm cheese making. I would much rather buy bread and then buy cheese. Of course, it's much more expensive to buy cheese. And because we're in such a flow of milk right now, getting gallons and gallons of it a day, I'd much rather convert that into cheese than have the bread. So I'm going to let this sit for a minute, and then I'm going to use a sterilized spoon to stir the culture in, and then I will add my rennet and we'll leave it to sit, and we'll have fingers crossed that it doesn't end up being contaminated. Okay, now we're going to add in our rennet. And I've sterilized my spoon. And lid this up right away. Hopefully this works. Okay, I'm just gonna get ready for the day, get everything cleaned up and set up for making dinner, and I'll be back with you shortly. A little bit of a change of plans, which happens a lot around here because on a farm, you really need to take care of things as they come up. So I went and checked my bees yesterday and noticed that one of my hives was really low on feed. I'm feeding my bees sugar water. This is 1-to-1 sugar water. And so I made up a fresh batch and just cooled it down to bring up and feed them. Lots of happy bees buzzing in and out. This makes me really happy. I did end up losing one of my hives. All 3 of my hives made it until about a week ago. And then I noticed there wasn't a lot of activity out of one of my hives, and sadly, they didn't make it. But having 2 hives after having lost all of my hives last year, having made it through makes me really happy. Sorry guys, Scooch out of the way. There's actually still a little bit left in that one, so we'll just leave that one in there and let them polish it off. I bet you're enjoying being outside, aren't ya? Hey guys. All the cows out on pasture. There's hardly any grass up yet, but they are still preferring being out there than around the hay bale. All right, now we are going to get together our broccoli salad. So my plan here is I'm going to make a big batch, and then I am going to jar it up in mason jars so that I can just grab them and eat them without having to make that on top of all the food I'm making for everybody else. So this is going to be a big batch, whole bunch of broccoli, gorgeous broccoli. Up my bacon in the background and chop it up into bite-sized pieces. For this one, it is nice if you can have them all nice and small like that for this salad. And I think the original recipe that I found for this years and years and years ago called it, what was it, bodacious broccoli salad. So I'll look and see if I can find that again, because that was my original source for this recipe. So we'll just get all these chopped up. And I actually like broccoli stems, so I always add those in as well. Okay, so we have our broccoli all chopped up. To this, I'm going to add my bacon, and I'm also going to throw in a bit of the bacon fat because it's delicious. So this is 3 heads of broccoli and a pound of bacon. Okay, now we're going to chop up some cheese. Okay, so now we're going to take some cheddar cheese, and you can grate this if you like, but I prefer chunks. And into there, I'm gonna add our cheese chunks. And then I need to make the dressing, which is just mayonnaise, balsamic vinegar, salt and pepper, and celery seed. 1.5 to 2 cups of mayo and balsamic vinegar to taste. I like lots. And you can put a pinch of sugar in this as well. But since I'm not doing any sugar for the next little bit, I'm going to omit the sugar. A little bit of pepper. I have decided I'm going to add some cranberries in with this as well. Just a few. Good. Okay, now I'm just going to add my dressing. I didn't actually have any celery seed, so it is without that. And there we go. So I'm going to scoop out some for my lunch today, and then the rest will go into the jars for later on this week. So there we go. We have 3 done. I'm also going to do some Greek salad as well, and that will do me. That is going to make life much easier. So I'm not really sure what happened with this day, but it just is flying by. It is now 10 to 3, and I'm just getting supper on now. So I have 2 pounds of ground beef in my pan, or my pot over here. And whenever I show this pot, I always get asked where I got it from, because it is a fantastic pot. But I actually bought this at Winners, I think 5 years ago now, and there's no identifiable label or anything on it, so I can't tell you what it is. I'm sorry about that, because I know it is a great pot. I am going to throw in some garlic over into the pot. And my daughter just chopped up some garlic, or not garlic, some onion. We're gonna throw that in too. So we're gonna do 2 onions in there, some celery. Hamburger soup, you can basically throw anything into. It is very versatile, so it's just basically a savory tomato base and then anything else, and of course hamburger. So I am going to throw in some potatoes, some carrots, some celery, probably some mixed veggies from the freezer. And then instead of adding pasta into my soup, I make pasta separately and then just pour the soup over that because I always find leftover soup when it has pasta in it, like the next day, doesn't taste really great because the pasta just gets really big and mushy. So we'll probably make some elbow macaroni or something like that to add to it. So I have 4 jars of tomato sauce that we're going to add as well. And then if I need it, I also have some beef broth if I need to thin it out a little bit. I love this can opener so much. It was sent to me by one of you, and I'm very grateful. It is my favorite opener now. I think we will also add that beef broth. And then we'll crank this up a little bit so that we can add in our potatoes and our carrots and get those to cook up. It looks like it's actually going to rain. Whoops.
It does look like rain.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to rain outside, but this is the nice thing about having a greenhouse is I can still go do some gardening work and be undercover at the same time. So I'm going to pot up all of those. Are you okay? Did you lose something? Pot up all of those tomatoes that we have, and we'll see, these carrots are kind of a little bit sad. We'll see where things go when it comes to the high tunnel, and I might do a little bit of planting some greens in there. Because of just how short our season is, I don't have a lot of space to be able to take up my greenhouse space with anything else except for the tomatoes. I'm down to the last of everything. I used the last of my peppers the other day. I still have quite a few carrots actually, but down to my last garlic. We used all of our onion. So I underplanted last year, and I kind of knew I did at the time, but I just did anyway. That's just where I was at. So this year I'm making sure to overplant, and then I can just give away the surplus because I don't like running out of things this early in the season. I would really prefer to have everything make it through at least until like the end of May or June. Did I tell you guys that my eldest daughter is back from Sweden? She spent 3 months in Sweden working on a horse ranch, which she absolutely loved. She loves horses. She's really good with them. So she learned a lot from the experience, and I'm really glad that she had that opportunity, and I'm also really glad she's home. She is just such a love. Okay, so for seasonings, we're just going to use some Italian seasonings. So basil, oregano, thyme, a little bit of rosemary, and then we will also add some or a couple of bay leaves to it, and then that's it. And we'll just let it cook till we'll probably eat around 6 o'clock. We do tend to eat a little bit later this time of year than we do in the winter time. We usually eat between 5 and 5:30 in the winter time, and then a little bit later, kind of closer to 6:30 in the summertime. Did I ever tell you guys my bay leaf story? So I have a lifetime supply of bay leaves because 1 year, 2 years ago now, I did a bulk food order and I ordered bay leaves, and I got this mammoth bag of bay leaves. I gave bay leaves away everywhere. If you come to my house, you'll probably get bay leaves, but I just vacuum sealed them all, and they are still doing just fine a couple of years later. And I was thinking about this when I was out in the garden. I got one of those metal raised garden beds. You've probably seen them because they're all over the internet, from a BC company called Sprout Boxes. And I have one that I was thinking of putting in front of my little greenhouse, and then using that to plant all of my herbs in and making it a herb garden. The other thought that I had for it was potentially putting it in like up by the house and then growing greens in it, so it was really easy to run out and get greens. But yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet what the best use of that would be, but I'm going to be able to get it out and set it up very soon. I'm just so excited about the change of the seasons. This winter was, or it felt very long. It felt long, and I was very ready for it to be over. And then it just came overnight, it seemed. We went from having 2 feet of snow to no snow in a week. Okay, so I'm gonna go put this into our pig scraps bucket. And I'm going to wait and add my frozen veggies, I don't know, about 15 or 20 minutes before I'm going to serve the soup, just so that they don't get overcooked, because they do tend to overcook easily. So here is our hamburger soup, looking delicious. Definitely needs some green in there though, doesn't it? Needs some beans and some peas, some corn. We'll put a lid on, turn it down to low, and let it simmer for a few hours. Our soup is smelling delicious. So we're just gonna leave it to simmer there until dinner time. But now we are going to head out and go and get those tomatoes potted up. That I was in the basement. Let's go outside. It's snowing. That's unfortunate. At least I get to go down into my greenhouse. Probably will have to turn the heaters on early today. Normally I don't turn them on until 5 p.m. But it's snowing, so it's cold enough to turn them on, I think. So these already are filled most of the way up with soil. So I'm going to need my marker. So we're gonna do how many of these old Germans here? I think we'll do 5 old German. The old German is probably my favorite slicing sandwich tomato. It's beautiful. It's yellow with kind of red peachy color. Ooh, there's thunder going on out there. Tomato seedlings can be pretty forgiving compared to, say, a squash. Squash do not like to be have their roots disturbed at all, but tomatoes don't mind. All I am doing here is topping off my pots, and I'm burying these down just so the leaves are kind of poking out the top of the soil to give these poor little things a good start. I should show you a picture on the screen here of my seedlings from last year, and you'll understand why I'm so distressed about how very sad these ones are looking. In fact, I probably have a video where I was potting up my tomatoes from last year that I can link for you. But with this new soil and hopefully some warming temperatures, these guys will perk up a little bit. So I mentioned this, I think, at some point in my last couple of videos, that these paper pots are absolutely fantastic. And because they are free, ooh, I forgot to put soil in that one. Even makes them more fantastic. But they do not do well to being moved very much once they get wet. So they'll still hold together, but not after repeated moves. So it's best to get them where you want them to be until they're going to go out into the garden. All of our tomatoes are now potted up. I have a tray here that I was going to plant some lettuce and some spinach in, but I've decided to wait and do that until tomorrow. I have all my babies tucked in with the heaters going underneath to keep them all snug and warm until morning. So now we're going to head back into the house and get dinner scooped up. Okay, we are back in the house. I wanted to show you what my daughter made. Pardon me, honey?
Can you see here?
Yep, you just go look underneath. She made some beautiful heart-shaped biscuits. They're gorgeous. They smell good. So I decided because of that, because she wanted to, wow, we had a lot of dishes in here. Because she wanted to make biscuits, I decided not to do the pasta since we're gonna have all the wheat with the biscuits already anyway. So that saves me having to do that. So I'm going to scoop up a bowl of this delicious looking soup. So I added the other veggies and it looks delicious. I also added another, did I do 1 quart or 2? Just 1 more quart of broth to it because it was really thick. Looks so good. Grab some biscuit and some delicious soup. Do you guys like this kind of soup, hamburger soup? It's really homey soup to me because I grew up on it. That and baking powder biscuits, one of my favorite combinations. All right, my friends, that is it for me today. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.